Morning, morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Michelle is here on a Tuesday, June the 2nd, 2026. It's already June. Woo! And, over here on the West Coast of where I am right now, currently, it is hot and dry. It's like being in an oven, literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. I just finished my walk this morning, and it's toasty out there. Just wanted to come on through and kind of ramble a little bit, because that's what I'm hearing lately with a lot of people. They're doing a lot of rambling, and we are all entitled to do whatever the hell we want to do and talk about anything we want to do. But I can listen to certain people and I can tell they're just piecing together knowledge. They're piecing together information they may have found on the internet. They're piecing together stuff they may have been told by the artificial intelligence, but they really don't understand and comprehend what the hell they're talking about. It's just a bunch of rambling. And I will admit I ramble too. But I'm witnessing how a lot of people, especially certain faces of people who are desperate, they're appearing on all podcasts and they're attempting to, kind of spread out this pieces of knowledge, whereas they really don't know what the hell they're talking about, as I said, and they're not walking the talk. They're not walking the talk, and that is where we're running into so many issues with these so-called experts online. They are picking up, like I said, bits and pieces of knowledge. They go to one chapter of a book and they swear they know the whole book just by reading one chapter of it. Or if they read it at all, they may have read the foreword, how we do, or, try to get to the end of the movie and know what the plot, and, they're quickly getting to the plot of the movie before they even watch the whole movie, and blah 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 blah. So that's what I'm noticing a lot when I do some research and I go around on the social media platforms, as well as on some of the other popular places to go, like YouTube. YouTube has kind of lost its edge, but no one has come close to replacing them, so they'll be around for a while. In other words, they'll take anyone, but they'll suppress people like me, and they'll suppress other people, because the truth does hurt, but most people are about the bottom line. How many clicks you can get, how many followers, and it's about greed. But there are these people out there, and I'm sure a lot of us have noticed they are desperate for attention. They didn't get attention by confronting particular type of people. They'll get a couple, they'll get a few clicks here and there. Maybe some people start following them, and then they dry up like the desert. And then so they'll go to another podcast, and you can tell that they are piecing together knowledge because they're not really consistent about what they're even talking about. They're contradicting. That's the word. Extremely contradicting. And again, they're not walking the talk. They don't have the life experiences to even speak on certain subjects. I can tell by that. I can listen to someone and realize, okay, this person is not necessarily having the experiences of what they're talking about, but they've read a few chapters here and a few chapters there. They're stealing other people's content and subject matter. If somebody's talking about relationships, okay, they're automatically the relationship expert. If someone's talking about finance, they'll come along and they're the financial experts, and blah 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 blah. So, or like spirituality. Spirituality means absolutely, positively nothing. It's nothing but air. Words of air, and I say that is because spirituality is meaningless now. No one really has an idea what it means. They'll say, well, it means that you're not religious, and that's not true at all. They'll say that you are that you're highly developed, and that's definitely not true. So I've been paying attention to a lot of that. And like I said, certain faces will pop up on these major podcasts and they'll start rambling about subjects that they have no experience in. But I know the podcasters, the podcasters need to feed their families too. So the more click and bait, the clicking is how they make their income. Don't be fooled. The subject matter doesn't really matter. Okay, regardless, the subject matter doesn't matter. Just get people on there. The more controversial, the better, and that helps them with their their clicks and building followers and building likes and da 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 da. It's a numbers game. People will tell you, even though the math doesn't add up, it's still about numbers to some people who think they know how to analyze. They think they know how to, they start harassing people about how they can give them more likes and more followers. But they're not talking about, okay, what about the truth? Okay, how can that get out? How can the truth get out? And so, thankfully, at some point, all of that is going to disappear. It's going to eliminate itself because, like I said, it's contradicting. Artificial intelligence is picking up on that, and the artificial intelligence is going to clean it all up. Okay, now, a lot of people don't like that. Well, we caused all of this. Okay, we caused all of this to happen. That's why we're in the consequences. Okay, a lot of these founders of these artificial intelligence thought they were clever, and they're going to realize how affected they will be as well by the artificial intelligence. Okay, because like I said, you could be illogical, irrational, unreasonable for just so long, and at some point you're going to have to snap out of it. That is the nature of evolution. Okay, you're going to eventually have to snap out of it and get a grip, or you'll be lost in the whirlpool forever. And when I say forever, that's forever. And then you have people talking about black holes. They have no idea what they're talking about when they're talking about black holes, and they try to bring the physics into irrelevant conversations. They just want to give you that illusion that they know what they're talking about. And again, it's like piece together knowledge. What's popular right now? Talking about energy. What's popular right now? Talking about spirituality. That's been talked about for decades upon decades, by the way, because when it boils down to it, spirituality is nothing but a puff of smoke. You know what I mean? In other words, it can go anywhere. It can go in all facets. And that's true, literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. But I'm saying as far as people attempting to explain it, a lot of people do not understand and comprehend even what they're talking about. So that's what I'm doing. I pay attention. I know what's going on. I know that a lot of people are not experts. I know a lot of people they are. That attention grabbing is a psychosis now. For some people that are desperately seeking attention, seeking relevancy, wanting to appear as an expert, wanting to appear as all-knowing above everybody else. And so they figure if they just spin in spirituality, spin in this and spin in that and ramble about science, ramble about physics, people will pretend that they understand. It's just performance. And so some people pretend that they understand it because they believe this person might be educated. So they're going to pretend that they understand what the hell they're talking about. And they don't. So just pay attention to the content that you're watching on the social media platforms, that you're listening to. Be discerning about what you're reading. Ask yourself, is this reproducible? Am I actually understanding and comprehending what I'm reading? Okay, this is an individual journey, regardless of the fact that we're massively, massively overpopulated. It's still an individual consciousness development journey. And pretending that you know something when you don't only hurts you. It's going to hurt you. because you cannot fool your consciousness, but you are cultivating these false realities about yourself, and you're going to bury yourself literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love all over the stars and moon and mountains. No matter what, at the end of the day, it's about universal love. Understand that, comprehend that.